Pakistan and Afghanistan need to be liberated from Islam as well. And we Iranians are so anti-Islamic that, and so secular minded, that once Iran is free, we will, like, we don't, like, this is like, Israel has already done so much. It's our turn to do some heavy lifting. Israel has already done so much when it comes to helping the world. Israel should be appreciated by the entire world as the country that did most of the heavy lifting when it comes to cleaning up the Islamic mess from the world. So they have done, they have paid a higher price than the rest of the planet, and that's why we Iranian people appreciate Israel. We know how much hate they get for doing the world's dirty job. They have the courage that the rest of the countries in the world doesn't. So once Iran is free, I hope that we could let Israel rest a little bit once Iran is free and strong. And when it comes to doing a cleanup job, when it comes to the other shithole Islamic countries in the region, I think it should be Iran that picks up that work from Israel, so Israel could basically spend time just breathing a little bit and enjoy the fact that it has eliminated all of its enemy, and enjoy now growing its economy even faster than before because it has eliminated all of the Islamic threats in the region, and let Iran do some of the heavy lifting a little bit when it comes to now the eastern borders of Iran. We need to go liberate Afghanistan from Islam. We need to go liberate Pakistan from Islam. I mean, I'm sure we're going to get some aid from Israel, but a lot of that work then needs to be done from Iran as well because it's our border. So it's our responsibility to help the people from Afghanistan, Pakistan get rid of their backward Islamic regimes as well. So yeah, hopefully we could see that world happening. And honestly, I think we will. It might take sooner or later, but I think we will get there. Nobody after October 7th, people thought Israel is weak, but look at what happened to Hamas. Look at what happened to the Houthis. Look at what happened to Hezbollah. Look at what happened to all of the leaders of IRGC. Israel has massively eliminated the vast majority of its enemies, and it will continue to do so. And once we liberate Iran, it will do so with its main ally in the region back. So it will be even more powerful because now the main source of its threat has been decapitated. So yeah, a lot of good things to come. So thank you for giving me that opportunity. All right, go on, Jose. And then Jeffrey wants to respond as well. But
Can
go
you
on,
hear
Jose.
me? Yeah, so regarding the Messianic prophecies, what's his name? Rabbi Mendel Menachem Schneerson was telling Netanyahu in 1994 to bring about the Messiah, and Netanyahu said, yes, I'm working on that. This is before his death. All right, so Netanyahu is aiming not only for Pakistan and Afghanistan, I mean, Israel is not only aiming for Pakistan and Afghanistan, but Turkey as well. And Turkey is a modern European state. Muslim, all right, alhamdulillah, but they're European. Their model is European. It's not like Afghanistan or some parts of Pakistan, okay? So this is an entire thing. This is basically prophecy being fulfilled. Everyone is out to get each other, all right? All right. And I tell you something, if prophecy is being involved, it doesn't matter if 90% of Iranians leave Islam. That's not a number, but I know some did. It's not a lie either, but it's not 90%. Let's just say 90% of Iranians hate Islam. If prophecy is involved, that 10% that are solid Muslims, they'll take out Israel, they'll take out America, okay? So you can hate Islam, the Islamic Republic, whatever. You don't believe in God, you're a Catholic, okay? So that's fine. That's your choice, right? But I believe in Allah, and inshallah, you will see that the IRI, along with Pakistan and the Taliban and Turkey, will take out Israel and Egypt, hopefully too, all right? So let's just wait. Time will tell. And your fake secularism is also showing. All right. You just hate Islam, so you support the Jewish radicals as supremacists, those rabbis that want to take out Muslims. All right. You're a hypocrite. All right. That's why your blood is halal. Not because you're an atheist, but because you wage war against the Muslim populations on behalf of Israel. So as a state, your blood is a state. Now I'm saying people should take you out, but a government like the Iranian government has a right to take you out. Okay.
Wait, can you explain to people what your blood is halal means for people?
So in Islam, there are different understandings regarding murtad, apostasy, right? The Old Testament laws, Rasulullah, Prophet Muhammad.
Before you go into detail, like your blood is halal means it's okay to kill you. like it's
But on a
basically
state, but
you're
on a state level,
you basically told me, like, I just want to translate to people, that it's permissible to kill me. That's what you just said,
as a
right?
state, on a state level, not as individuals, non-state actors. Let me just clarify, so you don't falsely accuse me of saying something. All right, but let me get back to what I'm saying. So regarding the laws of Islam, apostasy, irtada, murtadin, right? There are different interpretations. Now, in the Old Testament, it does talk about killing apostates and stoning adulterers to death. The Prophet Muhammad did implement Jewish laws in the Old Testament when he came to Medina. This is a fact. But when the Quranic revelations came down, the Old Testament laws regarding stoning to death for adultery or killing the apostates was revoked. So in Islam, you could technically leave. No one's gonna fight against you. But if you go against the masses of the people, you're indulge in treason right now. You're supporting Israel and all of that stuff. Like, you personally be an atheist, that's fine, not a problem. Okay, many millions of Iranians probably
But
are right now. But
what
when you
I'm doing makes it justified to kill me. Like,
because you're
not
political
your
now, you're
average.
political. Yeah, you got it. You're political. Your atheism is political and is threatening the Muslim communities worldwide. So if you're an atheist beforehand because your iman is weak or you just misguided, that's between you and Allah. You get what I'm saying? So this is the different interpretations of apostasy. Now in the Maliki fiqh, Maliki jurisprudence, if somebody leaves Islam or even a large number of people on their own will, you can take
All right.
jizya from them. So we can't even take jizya from you, even if you're an apostate, because you're waging war against Islam.
So, but by the way, Jose, you're not trolling us, right? Like, you're actually like believe this stuff, like, because this is like, sometimes I can't tell the difference between a Muslim and a troll. It's really hard. But are you trolling us?
I'm a believer. I'm a believer. I'm
Okay.
not saying people should randomly kill you in Canada. I'm not saying that. I have Iranian ancestry too, alhamdulillah. My Iranian ancestors brought Islam to the subcontinent. I'm Iranian Sunni, by the way. Iran was one time a Sunni country. If you become Sunni again, you guys will love Islam.
Yeah, sure. If you're a troll, by the way, Jose, you're doing a really good job at. Wait, let me actually say this. So you're Sunni?
Yes, born Sunni Hanafi fiqh, follower of Hanafi fiqh. I'm Sunni origin.
Okay, and you don't consider the Muslims in Iran to be mushrikeen because of their, the way they treat Ali,
like,
Hussein, and Fatima?
there are different types of Shia. There's the Zaydi in Yemen. There's the Iraqi
Yeah.
Shia.
If the fact that Khamenei, prays to Ali or Hussein, do you consider him a mushrik or not?
If you pray to them and you call upon them, that is shirk. But it's a different layer of shirk, shirk al-asghar.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not doing takfir on the masses of Iranian Muslims because I know so many Iranian Shias, okay? And they're the same. We're brothers.
Yeah, I understand that. We could talk. I like to talk to you about these more. Like, if I want to give other people a chance to speak now after you. But if you email me, we could actually have like a one-on-one discussion for hours if you want. Okay, so my email is armin.navobi@gmail.com. Right, if you want to have a one-on-one discussion another time,
Can you
let's
message
have
me?
it. Regards to defending Israel, why am I, as an atheist, why am I defending Israel if they're Jewish and stuff? My atheism doesn't rob me from my humanity. Okay, I don't just defend Israel, I defend every country, including Islamic countries, because they're filled with humans. Okay, if we spend more time in Israel, is because Israel is threatened more than any other country, but also because, as an Iranian people are allies of Israel because of our mutual interests and our mutual enemies. Israel deserves the most defense because it gets threatened the most. Israel deserves the most defense because it's doing the most when it comes to fighting Islamic extremism all around the world without getting credit. And as an Iranian, a third reason I defend Israel is because we're allies of Israel and we have mutual interests. Even if they were very religious, had a religious state, which they don't. Even if they did, I would still defend them because I don't. When it comes to defending people, unlike you, who apparently only defends people who have share the same ideology with you, I defend humans regardless for the sake of being human. Okay, so it seems like your Islam has robbed your humanity away from you, so you're so tribal that you only defend people who agree with you. But my atheism has not robbed my humanity away, because for me, when I defend somebody, they don't have to be an atheist. They could be Muslim, they could be Jewish, they could be Christian, they could be Hindu. I defend them because they're human and they deserve to live. So I'm not as tribal as you are. So that's why Israel being Jewish or non-Jewish doesn't really affect me when it comes to defending them. But Jeffrey, if you want to respond to Jose, can you keep it very short because our list is very long? So please, there's so many people on the list.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of touched on some of it. So, I mean, the first one is he tried to argue that there's this small sect in Judaism. So he's almost referring to I always butcher these guys' names, the Nuri Karta. They're like 5,000 people, and they're like 0.02% of like 0.02% of 16 million Jews globally. And the existence of that minor sect does not define Israeli government or the official Israeli policy. You could actually see that because Bibi actually denied the suggestion in the Knesset after the terrorist attack of October 7th that was brought by a couple of representatives in the Knesset that are indeed part of a more doctrinaire element of Zionism to implement the Samson Protocol, which is to use all of Israel's nuclear weapons against all their enemies. As far as like the mullahs have been reacting to Israeli belligerency, that's horseshit. I mean, the mullah regime was a creation of an act of belligerency via the Red Black Alliance, comprised of Soviet active measures within the region and Islamic fundamentalists, and after which the mullah regime immediately initiated acts of aggression, violence, and terrorism against every actor in the region, including the state of Israel. As far as the Mullah regime being provided nuclear capability of ballistic missiles by the Chinese Communist Party or Putin's criminalized counterintelligence state, a claim that you've yet to substantiate. I mean, that's possible. Indeed, Putin and the Chi-Coms are coordinating their efforts within the Mullah regime as part and parcel of an attempt to sap or to stretch U.S. and U.S.-led Western alliances force projection. I mean, that being said, though, such coordination coupled with the fact that we're in the opening stages of a high-intensity systemic war, coupled with the elasticity of mullah belligerents, positively selects for the U.S. and Israel and Western alliance to eliminate the mullah regime and take them off the board consistently on this show. I mean, like, I guess the last one would be as far as the state of Israel. I mean, Armin's right. One can look at the state of Israel has existed for 3,000 years, and it's been demonstrated by the Benepta Stele from like 1200 BC, the Palestinian Mandate, if you actually choose to read it and understand it, or like the UN's acts in 1948. I mean, basically, everything you said, you're either a troll, whatever. I mean, regardless if you're a troll or you're like a true believer, like everything you said is utter horseshit and can be easily disproved. I promise you, bro. I promise you. You don't speak for all the members of the Ummah as someone who has practicing Sunni Muslims in his family. And there is a big difference between Islam, the belief system, and the vast majority of the Ummah, which Armin has made a point to separate here, as have I. And all of us are going to get rid of all you Islamic fundamentalist fucks. So you go ahead and do whatever you got to do, hiding behind your false name and trying to get Dajjal to sit there and tell who he is. I got no fucking problem saying who I am, bro. I say my shit with my chest out. I'll look for you on the field, bitch.
All right, Jose, I added you to the list at the bottom because we need to go through the other people. We'll get back to you. Okay, so I have Chris, Daniel, Sorgu, Danny, Sammy, Ali, Cadlady, Jose. Jose, if it's okay, like, can you close your mic? I will get back to you because we have a big list, so we want to get to other people as well. Okay, I'm gonna add Dijal as well. Dijal. All right, so Chris. Oh, sorry. Oh yeah, Clearly was also earlier.
Yeah, clearly raised her hand before.
Yeah, before who? Where was she?
I think above Jose.
Okay, so I'm gonna put him right at the top then. Okay, Chris, are you here? Open your mic. Okay, yeah, go on. Yes.
Right. Yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about Israel. I don't know if you guys are aware that Israel, Greece, and Cyprus now has a kind of defense treaty. Cyprus has now been given the new Barak missile system that might protect Israel from any Hezbollah attack. So the missile system now on full alert now. It's based at Paphos Airport, which is a military airport, which houses Greek F-16s, and now Israel will also be using that airbase as well. Also, to counterattack, this is just to counterattack Turkey. Your previous Muslim caller was talking about Turkey being a serious threat. Well, this is to counter Turkey's threat. Now, India has now been called into the fore. And now I believe maybe Iran, a free Iran, might also be included in that fold as well. I don't know what you think about that.
Okay, so thank you for that, Chris. I just want to add that Turkey doesn't have the balls to directly attack Israel in any shape or form. When it came to threatening Israel, after October 7th, after so much pressure by Muslims all around the world for Turkey to do anything, they said they're going to stop trade with Israel. And even then, they like stopped like 10 or 20% of their trade with Israel. Like they couldn't even, when it comes to actually standing against Israel, Turkey didn't even go as far as cutting their trade, let alone ever attacking Israel. I'm not saying Turkey is not a problem. Turkey is a problem. Hopefully we could one day liberate Turkey from Islamism as well, because they deserve that. Like is a legacy, bring back the legacy of Ataturk to Turkey. But when it comes to Israel, the way that they cause problems for Israel is through proxies. Turkey would never dare go head to head against Israel in a direct confrontational war. Okay, let's go, Daniel, then.
Hi, good evening. I recently saw like a couple hours ago a reel on Instagram that students in Tehran University went through the blockade. Like, do you have some information on that?
Went through a blockade. I don't know what that means. There are a lot of
Like,
protests right now in Iran.
like from what I understand, that there were students in the university and the Basiji and the IRGC just like blocked the exit from the university, and the students are basically stuck in the university, and so they like cooperated and like broke through this.
I haven't seen that. Are you sure this is not an older tweet? Maybe post it in the chat. I'll check it. Whenever you want me to fact check something like this, post the link in
Right.
the chat and I will take a look. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Well, I actually will post it right away. And the second one is, have you heard like Khamenei planned to give like transfer his authority if he dies, like to the IRGC court or something like this?
So Khamenei wants his son to become the next supreme leader. He wants his son Mujtaba Khamenei to become the next supreme leader. They have a lot of contingency plans regarding to be the next supreme leader. He does. He has been when Israel attacks, he has been giving members of IRGC more autonomy to decide, because he's hiding in his hole and he cannot effectively give commands. It is not his plan for IRGC to become, the main power after he dies, but he's not. But that's IRGC's plan. It's not Khamenei's plan. Khamenei's plan is for Mujtaba Khamenei, his son, to be the next supreme leader and for him to be influential. But he's not able. But Khamenei is not able to control IRGC because IRGC has more money. IRGC has all the weapons. The Beit Rahbari, which is the basically office of the supreme leadership, is rich, but is not as rich as IRGC, and it doesn't have the military power of IRGC. However, it has more soft power than IRGC. So Khamenei has more soft power when it comes to the supporter. When it comes within the Islamic Republic, the supporters of Khamenei, the emotional attachment that they have to Khamenei, they don't have that as much with IRGC, because IRGC is an institution. Khamenei is a person. Psychologically, there's harder for you to bond with an institution than an individual, a charismatic leader that you bond with, that you admire, and you like kind of worship, right? And it's hard to. So that's the main power, the soft power that Khamenei has, and that's why I think, in my opinion, IRGC can't wait for Khamenei to die so that the transfer of power completely goes from the Beit Rahbari to Sepah, meaning from the office of the supreme leadership to IRGC. IRGC would want to have a supreme leader that they could control, a toothless, powerless, symbolic supreme leader, so that basically they could control as a puppet for the IRGC to control everything. And Khamenei probably knows that's what the IRGC wants, but he's not able to stop it. I would actually even think that the IRGC IRGC right now probably would want to offer Khamenei as a sacrifice to America to come and hit, and then let the rest of the IRGC continue. That would be the most ideal situation for them. But no, if you're saying is that the Khamenei's plan, that is not his ideal plan, even though that's where things were moving to for a very long time. And this is just escalating it. One more thing, the fact that during the 12-day war, Khamenei gave a lot of autonomy to IRGC created the precedent for the IRGC to be able to have some autonomy without the supreme leadership. So he escalated that coming closer. Okay, get Daniel, if you want to add anything really quickly, because our list is long.
Yeah, really
Jose,
quick,
you're on
just
the list. I added you to the list. Yeah, go on.
yeah, really quick. Most of the Israelis are just don't want to have anything in a relationship with Gaza. Almost every Israeli just want to like, oh, we don't want that piece of crap. Egypt, please take it. Like most of the Israelis hate the idea that Gaza would be part of Israel.
Yeah, but for security reasons, it's really difficult not to hold Gaza, because Gaza has already been. Yeah, and Samantha, I know you disagree with me, but giving up Gaza caused October 7th, right? I mean, I have empirical evidence for why giving up Gaza is a bad idea. Like you did it, and October 7th caused October 7th. So
Yeah, the
you need
problem
to.
was
Yeah.
the problem was that it was under Hamas jurisdiction rather than under Egypt jurisdiction.
I wouldn't trust Egypt. I wouldn't trust Egyptians with Gaza. I wouldn't
Egyptians
trust
pretty
Egyptians.
much hate Palestinians. Like when the fighting against
Yeah,
Gaza
I don't
started,
care. I
they
don't
didn't
care. They're
let
not. I
anybody.
don't care what they think. They're not equipped to. They're not well equipped to control Gaza. Only Israel's army can manage Gaza. Nobody other than Israel's army can manage Gaza. Even if tomorrow we woke up and Egypt became like the number one ally of Israel, even if every single Egyptian tomorrow became in love with anything and everything that is Israeli, okay, even if that happens, Egypt cannot secure Gaza. Oh, thank you, Samantha. Okay,
Yeah, well,
like
that's
they have
true.
no, they don't have. Yeah, okay. All right.
Oh, yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. I've just been wondering, as an American, do you think Mamdani is like a woke guy who's just pretending to be Muslim, or do you think it's the other way around, where he's like secretly some like jihadi guy who's pretending to be progressive?
Yeah, I actually disagree with a lot of people here on Mamdani. A lot of people consider Mamdani to be a threat because he's Muslim jihadi. I think Mamdani is a threat because of his communist leftist views. I think that's the bigger danger. And I think when it comes to Islam, the way that he's a threat Islamically is the same way that progressive leftists are a threat. They're the ones who open the door to Islamists. So Mamdani himself, I mean, people are like, oh, but Armin, he has done this with regards to Islam. He has done that with regards to Islam. So that shows that he's a jihadi Islamist. I'm like, everything you're listening to me is exactly what progressive leftists do when it comes to Islamists, right? So eh, when it comes to Mamdani's behavior, his behavior for me matches more the behavior of a leftist more than an Islamist. And honestly, to me, that's even more dangerous.
No, that I just want to say, like, I think you and I think very alike in terms of what counts as danger, because you think the progressives are more dangerous, and I completely agree, because like they're able to portray themselves as the virtue noblest, the noble people, because overt hostility is much easier to detect than then if you wrap your words around inclusive and equality and all that stuff. And yeah, and I also, just from the vibes, I think Mamdani is sort of, he's basically just like a wokey Muslim guy he's a wokey at heart, but Muslim is basically just a clothing that he puts on, but I
Yep.
think he's more woke at heart, so I think we kind
Yeah.
of agree there.
Yeah, so for me, the Muslim part of Mamdani is one of his intersectionality points as a woke person. Not like his, not like a like. It's just one of the things. One way his progressive a point of being a foreigner, being a migrant, being Muslim. It's just a point that he has, that he's a Muslim. And to me, so when I compare, the progressives to Islamists, to me the Islamists are the barbarians at the gate that would have never been able to make it inside if it wasn't for the progressives opening the gates from the inside. And this is why the progressives are so dangerous, because they're the ones who are opening the gates to the barbarians. So let's go to Danny. Danny, so it's you now.
All right, 1 second. Okay. Right here.
Oh,
So to respond a bit to the Nazi rant from earlier, the problem when you make huge predictions about all the terrible things that Jews want to do is that most of us were not born yesterday. So you can check all of your Nazi ideas against the historical record. For example, Arabs have been claiming that Jews are about to destroy the Al-Aqsa Mosque for more than a century now, and it is unfortunately still standing, despite being under Jewish control for most of that time. And the country that is trying to fulfill a prophecy does not give back or offer to give back territory that it controls to other countries that have multiple times demonstrated their inability to destroy it. Anyway, the original reason I raised my hand is I wanted to ask Armin, when did Iran start democratically electing prime ministers? I'm kind of confused about the process of the Shah appointing them.
wait, when would they, after we are free? When would Iran?
No, I'm asking before 1979. Was there democracy for prime ministers?
So we had during the Qajar dynasty, there was a revolution that tried to limit the powers of the Shah, to switch us from a absolute monarchy to a constitutional monarchy. That was attempted and failed, because they tried to have that, they had a parliament and everything, but the Shah had the Qajar Shah at that time came out and crashed the parliament, like they did, like they bombed the parliament, they basically stopped it from happening. So it was an attempt, the revolution started then, the basically the constitutional monarchy revolution to limit the powers of the Shah started then, and it failed during the Qajar dynasty. During when Reza Shah came, when Qajar dynasty fell and the Pahlavi dynasty came into power, they wrote a constitution, and in that constitution they had the parliament, and they had the prime minister. So it effectively started with the Pahlavis, with the first Pahlavi king, and based on the new constitution under the Pahlavi.
And so, with the first Pahlavi king, were prime ministers chosen by being elected by people, and then the Shah appoints them based on that, or what?
No, so the people choose their members of the parliament. Okay, and the parliament, the members will choose the prime minister, and the king basically approves it, or like selects it, or either selects it or approves it. I don't know exactly how the details work, but I know the prime minister was not directly. I know this much. I know the prime minister was not directly voted by the people.
I like that model. Anyway, all right, that's all I wanted
Awesome.
to say.
All right, thank you. All right, so the list is Sami, Ali, Katedi, Cleel, Jose, Dijal, and then Cameron. Okay, so right now, Sami, are you still here?
in these things?
Well, not that directly. Muslim Brotherhood, I mean, obviously everything is connected, right? But many, like in Iran, it's not Muslim Brotherhood, it's the Velayat the Ethna Ashari Velayat Faqih version of Shia Islam, right? So, I mean, like Muslim Brotherhood is mostly influential in Turkey and Qatar and Gaza. I mean, also in Judea Samaria and I don't know, Morocco. In Saudi Arabia, there are like they have secret cells and stuff like that. In Egypt, they're still like influential, but not in the places that you mentioned.
I mentioned Bangladesh, I mentioned Pakistan, I mentioned
Okay,
Afghanistan.
Bangladesh, I don't know. Pakistan, I mean, Pakistan and Afghanistan, I mean, I'm not aware if they are, but there's so many other different sects that are not Muslim Brotherhood in Pakistan and Afghanistan that I can't imagine even if they have an influence for that influence to be that big of a deal. I could be wrong about that. But for me, when I think Muslim Brotherhood's influence, I mostly think Qatar, Turkey, Egypt, I don't know, Morocco. Like when it comes to the Islamic Republic, Muslim Brotherhood is the idea that Vilayat al-Faqih was copied that idea and made a Shia version of it. But it's not like they're present inside Iran right now. So they're not like it was the spark. The ideas from Muslim Brotherhood was the spark that started what we now have in Iran. But no, they're not that present in Iran.
Yeah,
Mostly Turk.
yeah, like I have a quick follow up, because you see a common phenomena happening in all of these places, and that phenomena is that people in the mosque, the mullahs and the holy people of Islam, usually they are the ones spewing this nonsense in media, and then you see this follow up by the masses, by the I would say uh, uh, these in my language they are called qoms, in my and Pakistani language, these communities to these ideologies, and I because they are doing something that is very common, and I don't know who's controlling them or whether they are getting controlled by someone.
Yeah, a lot of these things are more organic than people realize. But let me see. So Turkey, Egypt, Pakistan, indirect influence via Jamaat Islami, their primarily local counterpart in Pakistan. Okay, so obviously in Qatar, main big, in Turkey big, in Egypt big, in Pakistan, indirect influence via Jamaat Islami, in Bangladesh, influence via Jamaat Islami, currently gaining ground after recent government collapse. In Maldives, ideological, no formal wing in Maldives, but ties exist with Adallah Adalath party. And so yeah, they have connection in these other countries that you mentioned. There's always connections because Muslim Brotherhood is big and global, but not as big as in Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt. Okay.
Like Arman, because
Last
this
point. Last point because we need to go to the next person. But go
yeah,
on. Yeah.
because this Jamaat-e Islami organization that you just talked about right now, it is influencing the majority of Southeast Asia, right? It's like it India banned that organization, but there was a time when it was prevalent in India too. So like that's what I was saying.
Okay. So they share same Islamic ideology. So Jamaat Islami is not a Muslim Brotherhood, but it's similar, apparently. All right, let's go. Thank you. Let's go to the next. Ali, are you here?
I'm here.
Jose, you're on the list. So let me just read the list. Ali, Cat Lady, Cleo, Jose, Dijol, Cameron. Okay, go on, Ali.
I'm here. Yeah, I want you to take a deep breath, Harmon. I know you've been trying really hard to convince people for years now to change their minds, and I love how masterfully you're doing it with so much patience. I had a
Oh,
question. Basically, my plan, and I want anyone to feel free to critique this. My plan is so I currently hold a job here in California. It's a well-paying job. It's at a big company, but I know that I would regret it so much if I didn't go to Iran. when Pahlavi goes and establishes a transitional government. I've wanted this since I was a kid. I've lived in both countries, but I was born in the United States, and I know that I would absolutely regret it. So I want to go there. On one hand, I'm giving up the security of a life that I already have established here as someone in their mid to late 20s, but the excitement of the unknown there and the massive amount of economic opportunities gives me the confidence that I'll do fine. And so my plan was I show up, even if I have to go walk into the government buildings. Of course, online applying exists, but that's my plan. And I was wondering if anyone had any critique of that or insight.
Wait, so you want to go there and work for the government, did you say?
Yeah, so I was planning on working in the transitional government or even the government to come after that, because I feel like that would give me the most amount of personal satisfaction to help people.
You just want general advice, or do you have a specific question?
Yeah, advice or critique.
Advice or critique? Don't burn, like, advice is don't burn any bridges. Is it possible for you to basically, whatever you're doing, to go and test this and but be able to come back to what you had if it ends up not being the thing that works out for you?
I'm sure I
Yeah.
could come back and find a job. So
Okay.
I'm currently a scientist, like a heart scientist, and it's a very specialized field. So when you talked about how your dad is a heart surgeon, it's actually like, I don't know if we are in the same realm of the cardiology field, but it's something I can come back and I'd probably find something. And I'm also in my 20s. I don't have a wife or kids or mortgage, so I can take this risk.
So this is not much of a risk then, right? Like
Okay.
you're gonna go,
Right.
you're gonna try because you then have something to come back to if it doesn't work out, right?
Yeah.
You go experiment, you apply. So yeah, try to see if you could secure a job before you quit whatever you're doing. What do you think?
Yeah.
Is that possible?
You know what I've done?
Yeah.
I've actually, so I read the IPP. It's like 169 pages. I went on
Right.
LinkedIn. I found as many emails of the authors that I could. I emailed them all. Even Shervin, like the huge like tech guy, emailed everyone, Instagram, and wherever I can find them. I totally understand that no one can get back to me because, of course, of what's going on right now.
They're not thinking about what to do after the
No, absolutely
revolution
not.
because they're in the middle of a war right now, right?
Yeah, and it's not. I don't go to them with the approach of like, "Hey, give me a job." It's just like, "Hey, I am this person, and I would love to help in any way." So, yeah,
Wait,
but thank you.
Wait, I have an advice. Nara in the chat is saying, "Ali, take me with you." Nara, are you single? Because I think you guys could go together. Nara in the chat is asking you to take her, so maybe you guys could connect and you could take her with you.
California, so
What?
Yeah,
You're
funny.
single? Okay. All right. So what was I saying? Yeah. But no, I mean, by the way, I really appreciate you thinking so much about serving Iran. That is like, as we say in Persian, durud be sharafet. And honestly, even if you don't, if you really want to go back to Iran, don't limit yourself when it comes to working for the transitional government, okay? Because there's probably going to be so many applications, and I'm sure you will be able to, like, I'm not saying you're not going to be able to make it, but there's so many things in Iran that will be opening that even if it's not part of the transition government, there's so many opportunities here in Iran that if you don't make that, don't give up on trying to find other ways. There's also ways for you to have one foot in Iran and one foot in the United States and take advantage of being a bridge, between, like, you could work in both Iran and the United States at the same time and constantly keep traveling between both and use that. And in fact, that's such an asset. The fact that you have connections and know-how in the United States, maybe it would be a major loss if you completely go to Iran. Maybe the fact that you have the know-how and the connections and understand the protocols or whatever your industry requires in the United States, having one foot in the United States will be beneficial to your presence in Iran, because you will be able to help so many Iranians connect to different people and businesses in the United States with your connection. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we actually, so we have this like heart device, and so the company is Johnson & Johnson, I'll just say it, but basically there's this one product that I'm this, like one of the main scientists for, and my boss and I and a team of other people are basically in charge of launching this in different countries. And so last year when we launched it, we did China, Japan, Korea, we did Brazil, UK, Germany, we did most countries around the world. And I've been telling her like for a month now, like, you know, there's this country, 90 million people, we haven't had access to it forever. We will in a few months. And I'm trying to push that as hard as I can. So if I can't, you know, if I can't do that and get sent over, then, you know, I'm going anyway. So.
Well, awesome. Appreciate that. Thank you. Durud. All right. Keep us updated as once this all of this happens. All right. So let's go to Cat Lady. Cat Lady.
Yes. So are you opening a Navabi matchmaking agency soon?
Well, let me see how this one works out. Yeah.
Okay. So a couple of things. I'm sorry for interrupting earlier. I just recognized the
That's
voice
okay.
of this guy. Got so excited and but yeah. Okay. So since he's right after me, I want to raise some points and I hope he will answer. It's not to like shit on someone. It's even though I would love to shit on him, but it's he can respond, right? So, based on my memory of the points he used to make in the lives of the Lubna did, I would say he supports Nazism. He supports raping women. He even said that many wives is manly, and he supports killing apostates and Jews. And he says that he used to be institutionalized in a crazy words because the Jews did it. All of those points are showing you that the immigration system of Canada is great because this guy is a
Not true.
Bengali, if I'm
Not
not
true.
wrong. You see,
Not true. Not true. Not
wait,
true.
wait,
Not true.
no,
Not
no.
true.
If I'm not remembering right, I will love for you to correct me. Okay, I'm just putting all the points and later just go over them. So please answer, Mr. Jose Sanchez.
Okay, well, after Cat Lady, actually, after you is Cleel, and after that is Jose. So let's just go through Cleel, and then we go to Jose. Okay. Okay, Cleel.
Okay, so I wanted to respond to Jose as well. I'm from Israel, and I want isn't something that contradicts itself, and that alliance is about national, global freedom and economic freedom between countries. So that's exactly what Israel represents, and that's exactly why we should work together, and why should America and other Western nations should work with us, because we're fighting the same fight against the same enemies, and part of those enemies are the Muslim Brotherhood and the political Islam, global Islam, and communist and leftist, and that's why we're fighting together.
Okay, Jose, respond to all of that. And Jose, by the way, before you respond to all of that, can you tell me if you emailed me already? Because I want to make sure I don't miss your email. Did you email me?
No, I didn't email you because I was busy listening to the conversations you guys having.
Okay. Can you
I'll
just
email
send
you
me a
after.
test email? Can you just send me a test email? Yeah.
I'm not in
I just
front of
want
the
to make sure.
computer. I'm lying down. I'm lying down on the
Okay.
bedside right now. So when I get on the computer,
Okay.
I'll email it. I have you emailed those. Daniel, sorry, what's his name? Armin.navabi@gmail.com, right? Your full name. Let me clarify something. I never mentioned in any fucking live about raping Jewish women. That is absolutely slander. I can sue that bitch for lying. Okay. I never went to a mental institute or a mental ward. Okay. This is complete bullshit. Okay. I don't know what she's talking about, and I don't see what's wrong with polygamy anyways. That's what Muslims believe in, so there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But anyways, she's slandering me, so I don't know why she's talking about me, saying things that are absolutely not true. And how can I be a Nazi if I'm not even European? I think that you have people like this slandering Muslims all the time, saying things and accusing us of doing things that are absolutely not true, completely fabricated, okay? That's what Israel is known to do. And that's Cat Lady represents the typical Israeli and their views on Muslims, 2 billion of us, that they want to go to war against using American soldiers. And they've been fighting using American troops in Afghanistan and Iraq and other places. Okay, so that's that. Regarding Netanyahu, he's part of the Chabad Lubavitch group, which is a cult-like group that do believe in the doomsday philosophy. Okay, bringing about their ushering in their Messiah after World War takes place. And this is what the Israeli people are actually, those who support Netanyahu are actually supporting, whether they know it or they not, they don't, right? And that's going to take place one step at a time. And Chabad Lubavitch has branches everywhere in the world right now, and they act as a cult. They should actually be banned, but since they have a lot of money, they're allowed to operate freely. Okay, they do believe in Menachem Schneerson's philosophy in bringing about the Messiah. These things are not lies, because I do have contacts with Jews who are honest individual Jews, not like the rest of the crew down here in this site. Okay, second of all, regarding Jews, there are different kinds of Jews, obviously, but the most organized ones tend to cause the most problems. So there are good Jews as individuals, sure, but as an organized unit, they tend to cause a lot of mischief. That's why, I mean, we can go back to anti-Semitism and why it happened historically, the most in Christian societies, not in Muslim societies. Muslim societies never expelled Jews historically. They haven't, what do you call it, gone, they have always kept their worst element in check, put it that way, okay? So Jews have been able to flourish, and they haven't gotten out of hand until the creation of Israel, okay? So just wait and see the next 10 years what happens, okay? But right now, after Iran, Pakistan, and Turkey are taken out, they're going to push for the temple to be rebuilt. The reason why we're not seeing that is because there's so many Muslim countries that are still standing, all right? And what's his name? The guy named Acapella. I forgot his name. The guy who was here earlier. What's his name? I forgot. Can you remind me of the guy who was speaking earlier? I forgot.
Yeah,
Is
I'm
his
the
name
guy.
Acapella?
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, Jeffrey.
No,
Jeffrey.
Yeah, okay. Well, yeah, to Jeff. Currently, Israel, when he's talking about fundamentalist terrorists, what you should know is that the U.S. intelligence community has classified, as well as patriots in the U.S. and UK have classified Israel as the terrorist entity for doing 9/11, for doing the July 7th bombing.
Your voice is, guys. Is his voice
Can
cut
you
for
hear me?
me or for yours? Okay, your voice got cut for a second. Continue. Okay, continue. Hello? Who did anybody mute him? Jose? Nope. Okay, no. Jose? Musad got him?
Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, go on.
Okay, so I was trying to mention earlier that the U.S. intelligence community has classified the Israelis as a big security threat, not only due to the Epstein files that have been released, but before that, during Obama's time, when they rightfully concluded that Israel did 9/11 and the July 7 bombings in London. Okay, this has been concluded by investigators and people tied to the and what have you.
Why is your audio getting mute? By the way, get to your point so I could respond to some of this.
Yeah, so like I said, currently right now, a lot of Americans are ditching Israel. They've lost support for Israel because of Israel's role in 9/11, which has been exposed a long time, well, openly now, thanks to people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson. Okay, so people are no longer interested in supporting a state that constantly conducts false flags against its own people, its own allies, the people that are supposed to fight and support them. Israel has already been classified as such, so they're doing everything to isolate Israel and get rid of it. Okay, that's the reason why Americans are ditching Israel right now. You might not think that's the case, but that's what's been coming out recently. Okay, so Just to let you know, Israel is in deep trouble.
All right, let me actually see what you said about. By the way, it's really really good that when you say Israel did 9/11, it's really good that you say that because people will see the level of retardation that we're dealing here with. Because you might say some other things about Netanyahu that some people might think like, I don't know. But then when you come out and say like Jews did 9/11, people are like, oh, we're dealing with a retard. So they start dismissing all the other points that you're making. So I'm really glad that you say that. But let me actually, in regards to Netanyahu, let me see. Okay. So Netanyahu himself is largely secular. He is a pragmatic, hardline nationalist whose background is rooted in secular revisionist Zionism, not religious fundamentalism. However, to maintain his power, he has formed the most right wing coalition in Israel's history, relying heavily on ultra Orthodox and far right religious Zionist parties. So, with regards to all of this nonsense that you were talking about, him belonging to this cult and being like believing in this, really far out religious ideas, he's actually himself is actually mostly secular minded. While he doesn't belong to any of these like little cults or stuff that you mentioned, his political dependence gives outsized influence to factions that do hold fundamental religious views. Furthermore, former aides and political observers often note that Netanyahu has a secular messianic complex. So this, like the people who criticize him, they say like not from a religious perspective, but if he has a messianic complex, is a secular version of that, quote unquote, viewing himself as an indispensable historic savior of the Jewish people against modern existential threats. I mean, justifiably, given what he was able to accomplish after October 7th, I see why he would think that. So rather than a religious figure trying to trigger the end of times, right? So the Greater Israel Project, let's actually talk about that. The concept of Greater Israel has two very different definitions in modern Israeli politics and historically for Netanyahu's Likud party. Greater Israel typically refers to maintaining Israel's sovereignty over all of historic mandatory Palestine. This means This means Israel proper. It says West Bank here, but we know Judea Samaria, which they refer to by the biblical names of Judea Samaria and Gaza. Netanyahu recently stated in an interview that he absolutely supports Greater Israel in this context. But the biblical maximalist map, the idea that Israel is actively plotting to expand into Egypt, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and Saudi Arabia, comes from a literal interpretation of Genesis 15:18, which describes God promising Abraham's descendants land from the brook of Egypt to Euphrates, which some fringe extremist settler groups use this map as an ideological fantasy. It is completely divorced from actual Israeli state policy or military reality. In regional geopolitics, this Nile to Euphrates map is frequently cited by adversaries as proof of a secret imperialist Zionist expansion plot, but it's not a genuine governmental objective. So when it comes to the Messiah things that he's saying, there's a real influential ideology in Israel called Messianic Zionism. Followers of this movement, which include powerful figures in Netanyahu's cabinet, like Finance Minister Rich and National Security Minister Ben Gvir, believe that settling the entire biblical land of Israel is a divine commandment that will hasten the coming of Messiah. So the stuff that you're saying might be true with regards to Smotrich and Ben Gvir, but not Netanyahu. For these factions, geopolitics is theological. Netanyahu does not share this literal messianic goal, but he frequently utilizes biblical rhetoric to appeal to this domestic base and to his evangelical Christian supporters abroad, which blurs the lines between secular statecraft and religious prophecy. So Netanyahu is a secular nationalist riding the tiger of religious extremism to stay in power. He isn't trying to conquer Iraq to summon the Messiah, but he has empowered the exact political faction, the exact political factions who look at the Middle East through that theological lens. So that's regarding Netanyahu. Let me see regarding, and do I need to even respond to you regards to 9/11? I think like we're taking like some cuckoo nonsense too seriously if I respond to that. I don't know if it's worth responding to that, because if I don't know if there's anybody who is that level of cuckoo for this to need clarification. um I mean, guys, we have so much evidence that this was Al Qaeda. I could go through some of the evidence that this was Al Qaeda, but let me know if you want me to go through that. I think I don't need to waste my time with that, because I think that anybody, there are few people who are that far gone that can be saved. I'm not saying that we should give up on. Yeah, go on, Jose. What?
Yeah, so I'm saying it's not just me and Muslims now. It's a lot of hundreds, possibly tens, possibly hundreds of millions of Americans. So you're gonna
Hundreds of millions. Do you have a stat for that? That hundreds of millions of Americans believe 9/11 was done by Jews. Do you have stats for that? Where did you get that number from? Also, do you know appeal to popularity? Do you know that logical fallacy? Are you familiar with that logical fallacy, Jose? So two questions. Are you familiar with the appeal to popularity logical fallacy? And that's question number one. And two, do you have any evidence for that stats that you just gave?
poll held maybe 15, 20 years ago that stated 1 in 3 Americans didn't believe the official story. So out of that percentage, maybe someone believed the Israelis did it. But this is probably way back. Now a lot of people have come around.
So you don't. So basically, you don't have a source for that. You don't
Not
have
yet,
any
but
source.
1 in 3.
So you just pulled it
Okay.
out of your ass. Then you pulled it out of
Well,
your
I
ass.
said tens of billions. Let's say tens of billions. If 1 out of 3 people in a poll said it, this is the came on CNN actually. 50,
So you said hundreds of millions. Now that I basically showed that you pulled it out of your ass, you're like, okay, so let's settle with tens of millions.
Wait, let me elaborate. The poll came in 2000 and maybe 2004, 5, 6, around that time.
You just
and
said
it said
you just told me that right now you don't have any evidence for that, but the evidence will
no.
come.
The poll I'm talking about, it came on CNN. Can you let me answer?
Is there a poll that shows that hundreds of millions of Americans believes that Israel did 9/11?
Well, okay.
Yes or no? Yes or no?
Let me clarify. Can I clarify? No. It's not that simple. When you say that, let me give you an example. When you release the report by Gaban that says that only 40% of Iranians are Muslims now, based on a poll of 50,000, does that prove automatically that the majority of Iranians have left Islam from that poll? It doesn't, right? Similarly, 1 in 3 Americans based on that poll.
Actually, that's a pretty good evidence, because it's basically based on a randomized number of people who have been selected. If the data, by the way, the poll that you're even pointing doesn't even say what you say. Do you have this poll? Well, first of all, link the poll that you're mentioning, because you're even making a claim. Okay, do we have a poll? This was the claim. Your claim was hundreds of millions of Americans believe that Israel did 9/11. Do you have a poll for that?
Okay, let me elaborate again. I don't have a direct poll for that, but I just came to that conclusion from that poll 15 years, 20 years ago. Okay.
So you made it up. You made it up, basically.
And not exactly. I kind of inferred. Put it that way.
Okay. So no evidence.
Well, let's just say tens of millions for argument's sake. Let's just say 20, 30, 40.
Now that we have established that you made a claim with zero evidence, do you know what appeal to popularity means? What do you know what that logical fallacy? Okay.
Yes, I do.
So you think you're trying to suggest that you're right because millions of Americans agree with you?
Yeah, the evidence is solid. That's pretty solid now. We can talk. Do you want to talk about 9/11 or do you want to talk about Israel?
I think you don't understand what I'm saying. I said You said yes, and then after yes, you said something that had nothing to do with my question. I said that I asked you, do you think that if millions of Americans agree with you, that means you're correct? And you said yes, the evidence is solid. So you're not even understanding the question that I'm asking you. Do you think that you
Well,
pointing out that millions of Americans agree with you, that makes your case stronger?
well, people are seeing the light right now. People are coming to the truth. That's the reason why they're abandoning.
That's not my question. That's not even my question. You don't even understand the
Mm.
question. You can't even understand a simple question, and you think you're fit to evaluate who did 9/11 was fake and all of the
Okay, it's
evidence that
not.
we have is all false.
It's
You are not even qualified to even understand a very simple question. You're answering a different question
okay.
from the
I
question that I'm
answered you.
not asking.
Let me be straight up. Appeal to popularity does not make it the truth. Okay, does that make
Okay, so
sense?
okay, so why do you even offer that as a? By the way, thank you for finally admitting that. It took you long enough. I think I don't know.
No, but
You're either dumb or you're dancing around it because you know that I cornered you and you were
no,
trying to
no, no,
get away,
no,
but
no, because
I cornered you where you were trying to get away and I didn't let you. So now
okay,
you eventually you had
okay,
to you have to admit that you're full of shit.
okay. No, 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 I'm not, because that is the key reason why most Americans are, especially in the right wing, are abandoning Israel. That's what I'm trying to get at. So regardless of whether it's true or not, I believe it's true, but you might not. That's your problem. The main reason, one of the key reasons as to why conservative right-wing pro-Israeli Republicans are abandoning Israel right now.
Do you have any evidence beyond like I don't know if you know the population of the United States beyond hundreds of millions of Americans believe that the Jews did 9/11? Do you actually have any solid proof for this insane claim?
What?
Do you have
Yes.
any proof that Jews did 9/11?
There are
What is that
lots
proof?
of articles and documentaries linking Israel
Oh,
to 9/11.
article. Oh,
And
wow. Okay,
documentaries,
lots
yep.
of articles.
Well, listen,
Documentaries.
if you
That's your hard proof. Okay, so
you don't have
okay.
proof, you don't have any
Well,
proof.
wait a minute.
Okay, hold on. You don't have any proof.
Well,
You don't
no, no,
have
no,
any
no.
proof that 19.
Okay, no, no, no. I agree,
Mm.
I agree, I agree. If that's evidence, well, then I also have hundreds of documentaries that showed Al Qaeda did 9/11, and hundreds of thousands of articles that says Al Qaeda did 9/11. So I guess both are true at
Al
the same
Qaeda,
time. If hundreds of articles and
Al
documentaries make
Qaeda,
something true, then both of these are the same thing. Then the two things are
Al
true at
Qaeda,
the same time. Then Al Qaeda is
Al Qaeda.
Jewish, huh? You want to say Al Qaeda is
No, no, no,
Israeli?
no,
Is that what
no,
you're
no,
saying?
no. Al Qaeda.
Oh,
No, 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 no. Let me clarify. Al Qaeda never existed. Al Qaeda never existed as a real
but
organization, by the way. Okay, so
But
that's the
I'm
piece.
going to use your own evidence. I'm going to use your own standard for evidence. I actually have hundreds of documentaries and articles that says Al Qaeda was an organization. So using your standard of what counts as
Uh,
evidence, then
do,
it did exist.
do you know how
By
the
the
word
way,
Al Qaeda
I
came
have.
about?
By
You
the
know
way,
where?
Jose, based on your standard, I have hundreds of articles that says Islam is bullshit. So, given your standard for evidence, then you have to accept Islam is bullshit.
Not really,
No, no, you said
because
no.
there's counter evidence. There's
Your
counter
evidence
evidence to that.
for
There's counter.
Jews doing not
It's counter.
your evidence for Jews doing 9/11 was that there's hundreds of articles for Jews doing 9/11. So based on your standard, Islam is bullshit because I have hundreds of articles saying Islam is bullshit there
But there's
and
counter to that.
documentaries.
Okay, I get what you're saying. There are counters to the accusations against Islam. There's a lot of counter arguments against that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
regarding,
Okay. Oh, you defeated me because there's zero counters. Oh, I didn't know. Yeah, you're right. There's absolutely zero counters to Jews doing 9/11. Oh, yes, you're right. Okay. Yeah, you
Mhm.
win. There's absolutely zero
Yeah,
Can
counters
I
to that. Okay, sure.
did it.
suggest that we move on?
Okay, make your
What?
last point, Jose. Jose, we because there are other people here, I'm limited. I really do want to talk to you for hours. So make sure you send that email to me. We'll set something up, okay? But because
After
other
this,
people are yeah, after this, but because other people are waiting, we need to go move on to other people. So I hope you accept that. You understand that.